Hello students, again a very warm welcome to all of you from Analyst IAS. I am Ekta Sharma and once again I am here to discuss the solutions to various prelims related questions given in Analyst Weekly 4. Now I have had many students asking me to cover a little more or cover the whole topic that are given in the questions that we discuss here. Now students, the problem with discussing the topic here is that if, for example, we talk about a particular topic, say if we are doing a question on Gati Shakti portal, then we will have to cover the whole of infrastructure as well as Gati Shakti. I try to cover all the topics in the most concise manner possible. However, covering the whole of Gati Shakti, covering the whole of infrastructure is not possible, at least on this platform, because here we are just focusing on solving the questions, and as the prelims is coming closer, it is very difficult and not even feasible for you as well as for me to go into the depth of each and every topic, because here we are in a revision mode. We are not dealing with the whole of preparation itself or doing the whole topic altogether. We are just trying to focus on the revision mode, right? So it is not feasible for me or even for you to do the whole of the topic here while discussing the question, because covering, as I said, that the very topic of Gati Shakti and infrastructure itself is going to take more than 1 hour. So that is why it's not possible for me to cover all the topics given in all the questions here. However, if you want me to cover a topic for current affairs, you can definitely let us know that this is the topic we want you to cover or we want you to describe in the videos. Apart from this, we also have current affairs related videos on our YouTube channel. Please go through the videos, you might find your topic there. Without any further delay, let's start our discussion on today's questions. Now, the very first question is related to AFSPA. AFSPA is one of the most critical acts in India. You might have read about AFSPA lately coming up in the news. Now, keeping everything aside, it is important for you to know about the basic features of this act and to know about the critical features of this act. Now, let's see what the question is. Consider the following statements regarding Armed Forces Special Powers Act 1958. This act has been there since 1958. The very first statement says that AFSPA is in force in states of Nagaland, Assam and Manipur. Nagaland, Assam and Manipur, these are the 3 states. This is the first statement. The second statement says AFSPA originated during the colonial regime in India when the government enacted a law as an ordinance in backdrop of the Quit India movement in 1942. So we have to pick the correct statement out of these 2. Let's see what the answer is. The solution is C. That is, both these statements are correct. Now, in case of AFSPA, apart from knowing the critical factor, because you must know that this is one of those acts which has been highly criticized by various groups of our society. Under this act, the Indian Armed Forces, the Indian Army, the state, the paramilitary forces, they have a lot many powers. Like, the powers include shoot to kill, right? There are various other features of this act, but I am going to discuss the very prominent ones that have been criticized by a lot many people in the country. So under this act, our armed forces, they have the power to shoot to kill. They have the power to invade a particular property or even destroy a property if need be, just to protect what they are looking for. They are looking for protecting the unity and integrity of India. Right? This is the main aim of this act. Now, this act focuses on various areas. These areas are called the disturbed areas. We all know the history, how India came together to become a union of states, right? And in this history, we all know how various parts of the country, because of, the bordering states, the bordering country, because of various other factors, various parts of the country can be considered as disturbed areas, right? Where there is a lot of insurgency, there is, there are chances of insurgency, there is terrorism, more than other states. So in these states, to protect the unity and integrity of the country, the government had introduced this act, and under this act, apart from these various powers, the armed forces have legal immunity, right? The armed forces in this case, they also have legal immunity. Now, this is the real side of AFSPA. Now, try to understand this from the perspective of the people who are living in these disturbed areas, whose property is being invaded, whose relatives are killed just on the basis of suspicion, and multiple various other accusations have been made from the people of these states, of these areas on the armed forces. So try to think as those people, try to understand the plight of those people who are living in such areas and where armed forces have so much of power. So this act has been highly criticized because of various features. Try to look into the act, the features of the act and the critical features of the act. Moving on to the next question. It says, consider the following pairs. Now, on the left side, we have rebel groups, and on the right side, we have the country. The first is Houthi group, Yemen, Boko Haram, Syria, Hamas in Israel. So these are the various groups, the terrorist groups that have been in news from quite some time now. By this time, you must have internalized which group belongs to which country, right? So it is not a very difficult question. Try to recall which group belongs to which country and try to solve the question. Now we have to mark the correctly matched pairs. The answer to this question is solution C, that is both 1 and 3 are correct, whereas the second one is wrong, because Boko Haram is basically there in Nigeria. There are other countries where this organization is working, like Chad, right? There are other countries, including Chad, where this organization is there, but majorly it is there in Nigeria. Okay, moving on to the next question. Third question, consider the following statements about near field communication technology. Now, this near field communication technology is important. This is rather a very important and a crucial topic in science and technology. So please do read about this. Do go through this topic. Try to understand why it is important, because currently this technology has been in news, has been in use a lot. Let's see what the statements are. NFC transmits data through electromagnetic radio fields to enable communication between two devices. Second statement says both devices must contain NFC chips. Third statement says it can be used to generate contactless tickets for public transport. Now we have to mark the correct statements of the three. Let's see what the answer is. The answer is D. That is, all three statements are correct. Right? Try to read about this technology, because see, with the advent of technology, gradually with coming up of plastic money, with coming up of credit cards, debit cards, and numerous metro cards and various other forms of card technology, this technology has been in use. And this technology, the advances in technology, in this technology particularly, have been very helpful to enable contactless delivery, or sorry, contactless tickets, contactless payments, so on and so forth. So see, these are very basic things. These are related, these technologies are related to the things that you use on daily basis, right? So be it Apple Wallet, be it the Google Wallet, all of them are using this technology. You must know when you're using a credit card, when you're using your Metro card, you must know what technology they are based on, right? So this is the question on NFCT. Moving on to the next question. Consider the following statements about Pani Samiti. Now again, an important topic from polity. The first statement says, district administration is directed to form subcommittees which are called Pani Samiti under the Jal Jeevan Mission. The second statement says the presence of 50% women as members of the subcommittee is mandatory in these Pani Samiti. Now you have to pick the correct statement. The answer to this is solution B. That is, only this statement, the second statement, is correct. Now what is wrong with the first statement? The first statement says the district administration is directed to form subcommittees which are called Pani Samiti under Jal Jeevan Mission. See, this Jal Jeevan Mission area, this part of the statement is absolutely right, but the problem lies with district administration part, because instead of district administration, it is Gram Panchayat. Okay, this is Gram Panchayat. Now, in this question, what you need to, apart from Pani Samitis and all these things, what you need to focus on is the Jal Jeevan Mission. Lately, you must have seen that many reports are coming up based on the reducing amount of potable water. The various, news have been there that talk about the reducing amount of potable water or increasing amount of wastage of water, so on and so forth. Now, water has become, in fact, there's one very old saying that the Third World War is going to be fought just for the water, right? So in that case, water becomes a very important topic for you. The water table, portability of water, all these things are very essential for you to focus on and read about for UPSC preparation. In this case, Jal Jeevan Mission is another arena which you must focus on, which you must read a little bit about. Now, this mission was launched in 2011 because the per capita availability of water is reducing, right? The per capita availability of water is reducing, and this is why the government has come up with a plan under Jal Jeevan Mission, where it tries to reduce the wastage of water, tries to improve the conservation of water, tries to provide, in fact, one of the main aim or goal of the government is to provide tap water to all the households in the country by 2024. Right? This is an important statement that you might get related to Jal Jeevan Mission, to all households till 2024. So, till 2024, they are aiming to provide tap water to all the households. Moving on to the next question. Ranong, Ranong Port is located in. Now, Ranong Port is related to a country that has been in news for quite some time now. Now, where is it located? Is it Arabian Sea, Andaman Sea, Red Sea, Black Sea? These are the four options. Let's see what the right option is. So, the solution is B. Before we go back to the options, let's see where it is. It is located here. This is the Ranong Port. Just I'll change the color. This is Ranong Port in Thailand and it is there in Andaman Sea. So it is there in Andaman Sea. So the right option is the Andaman Sea. Let's move on to the next question. Consider the following statements regarding Bay of Bengal Initiative for Multi-Sectoral Technical and Economic Cooperation, that is BIMSTEC. Again, BIMSTEC has been in news. We have read about BIMSTEC in news lately. Now, what is this question? What are the various statements related to this? BIMSTEC didn't have an official headquarter or secretariat until 2011 and 2014 respectively. Second one, 2 of the member countries of BIMSTEC grouping are landlocked and 5 of them are immediate neighbors of India. Now you have to pick the correct statements of these. So the solution is C, that is both 1 and 2. Both these statements are absolutely correct. Now in case of these international organizations, what you must focus on? There will be numerous, at least in one whole year there are almost 10 to 20 international organizations that are there in news for one whole year. I don't think this is a huge number for you to that you can avoid, right? So 10 to 20 organizations you can easily go through about where their secretariat is, where their headquarters is, when were they when they started their functioning, whether there was a charter or not, how many countries are there, what are the various countries, so these are very basic things that I think you can remember about 10 to 20 organizations. Now this year BIMSTEC is one of those organizations which you must read about. So you can read about the headquarters, the year when it was set up, right? You can talk about the member countries of BIMSTEC grouping. Then you can talk about the aim of this grouping. Why did all these countries come together to make an organization? What was the driving force? What was the aim? What is the aim currently? What is happening? What's not happening? So on and so forth. So all these things related to the international organization you must go through, because these are not something which you can avoid, right? International organizations are important not just for prelims but also for your mains, as well as you can get question in your personality test. So do not avoid the international organizations in news. Now the next question is, consider the following statement with respect to SARS-CoV-2. The first statement is, the recombination of viruses occur when lineage of the virus co-infect the same cell in the host and exchange fragments of their individual genomes. The second statement says, World Health Organization provides a system for naming different lineages of SARS-CoV-2. Now we have to pick the correct statement out of this. It is a direct question from biology. It is a very current question, in fact, right? You can expect any kind of question related to gene sequencing, related to RNAs, related to, recombination of viruses or DNA, so on and so forth. So you can expect questions like this, because obviously since 2019 end or the beginning of 2020, the coming up of COVID, the pandemic, it has again obviously added another chapter to not just for the medical students but also for UPSC students. So you must focus on these terms and topics. So what is recombination? You must know what is recombination. of DNA. See, in case of recombination, pieces of DNA, they break down and recombine. They break down and then they recombine to create another form of DNA, right? And in all of this, in this whole process of recombination, new DNAs or genes are produced, and these new DNAs or new genes, they give diversity. They give rise to diversity of that DNA. They increase the diversity of that DNA. Now, in this case, this is a major problem in case of COVID. You might have heard about various, variants of COVID-19, right? You might have heard about Omicron. You might have heard about various other COVID variants. Now, how do these variants generate, or how are they created? By the process of recombination. Try to read a little bit more about the process of recombination, the gene technology, genes, DNA, so on and so forth. Try to understand the difference between DNA, RNA, etc. Right? So the pandemic has brought another chapter for you to be read under biology. Please go through these things, these basic terms. You might get question in prelims. Moving on to solving the question, the solution to this question is A, that is 1. That means that the correct statement is this. This is the wrong statement. The second statement is wrong. It is not the World Health Organization. The World Health Organization does not provide a system for naming different lineages of SARS-CoV-2. Rather, in place of World Health Organization, it is Pango network of researchers that does this work of providing a system of naming this SARS-CoV-2. So this statement is wrong, and the right answer is Pango network. Moving on to the next question, that is, consider the following statements regarding RAMP scheme. It is a World Bank assisted central sector scheme for enhancing performance of MSMEs. The RAMP program will address the generic and COVID related challenges in MSME sector by way of impact enhancement of existing MSME schemes. Which of the above statements are correct? So we have to pick the correct statement. Let's see what the answer is. The answer is C, that is, both the above statements are correct. Now, in this case, you have to go through the RAMP scheme. Please read about this scheme, the features of the scheme, so on and so forth. Try to understand the scheme, why it was launched, and various important features of the scheme, because you can get statement based questions related to these schemes. And in fact, in pandemic era or post-pandemic era, these schemes that have been launched during the pandemic have become very critical for your examination. Moving on to the next question, consider the following pairs. There are three pairs given to you. The first pair is Satmana, coins of Vedic period. Okay, here a name is given to you and the description of what it is given in the right hand side column. So the first is Satmana, coins of Vedic period. The second one is Tamralipti, the Buddhist monastery. And the third one is Pratham Kulika, chief craftsman. So you have to pick the correctly matched pair. These are all medieval history terms, or terms taken from your medieval history. If you have read medieval history, then you will be very much aware of all these three terms, because these are very simple and easy terms. So the answer to this is solution A, that is both 1 and 3 are correct. Then the pair that is not correct is the second one, Tamralipti, Buddhist monastery. It is not a Buddhist monastery, rather Tamralipti was a port. Tamralipti was basically a port in West Bengal. It was a port in current day West Bengal under the Gupta rule. Okay, so this is the solution to this question. Next question is, consider the following statements with respect to Convention on Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women. The first statement says it has been defined as the Women's Global Bill of Rights. The second statement says India enacted the POSH Act immediately after ratification of the CEDAW to fulfill its obligations, having acceded to the convention. Which of the above statements is not correct? Now, in this question, we have to mark the not correct statements or the incorrect statements. Let's see what the answer is. The answer to this is B, that is, the second statement is not correct. Now, what is the problem with this statement? It says that the POSH Act was immediately enacted after the ratification of CEDAW. Actually, the ratification of CEDAW, it happened in 1993, whereas India's POSH Act was enacted in 2013. So this is the huge long gap between adopting a particular convention and actually enacting it within the country. It is a huge gap. जब 1993 में आपने already ratify कर दिया था, तो why you took almost 20 years, more than that, almost, why did you take almost 20 years to enact or come up with a proper act in your country? So the gap was of 20 years, right? So this was the issue with this statement. Let's move on to the next statement. Next question, consider the following statements with respect to Buddhist councils. Again, a very direct question from your history. The first Buddhist council was held at Rajagriha under the chairmanship of Mahakassapa immediately after the death of Buddha. The second statement says the third Buddhist council was held at Vaishali and was presided over by Moggalliputta Tissa. Third, the new school of Buddhism called the Mahayana Buddhism came into existence during the fourth council. So these are the direct statements from your history part. You can recall, try to recall the things that you have read about the Buddhist council and try to solve this question. Now, you have to pick the correct statements of all these three. Let's see what the answer is. The answer is C. That is, both 1 and 3 are correct. 1 is correct, 3 is correct, but the second statement is not correct. So, what is the problem with the second statement? The problem with the second statement is that the third Buddhist council was held at Patliputra. Patliputra under the patronage of Ashoka. Okay, so it held not in Vaishali but at Patliputra. Moving on to the next question. Consider the following pairs. Again, a pair related question. The first is Sila Patigramam, Elango Adigal. Okay, these are the works, the written documents, and these are the names of writers. You have to pick the right ones. Sila Patigrama by Elango Adigal. The second one is Mani Megalai by Sattanar, and the third one is Mudrakshasam by Kalidasa. So let's see what the right answer is. You have to go through these three pairs, try to understand which one is which or which pairs are correctly matched, right? Let's see what the answer to this is. It's solution B. That is, both 1 and 2 are correct, whereas the third one is wrong. It is wrongly matched. Now, who wrote this Mudrakshasama? Who wrote this? It was written by Vishaka Datta. It was written by Vishaka Datta. It was not written by Kalidasa, it was written by Vishaka Datta. Now let's move on to the next question. That is, the ninth schedule was introduced in Constitution of India during the Prime Ministership of. Now, very direct question again, directly from polity. You must have read about the ninth schedule. If you have read about the ninth schedule, you would know when it came up, when it was introduced in the Constitution, and under whose prime ministership. Now, the ninth schedule basically deals with state or the list of state and center laws that cannot be challenged in the court. Now, this was introduced by the first Amendment Act of 1951. Since it was introduced in 1951, this was under the Prime Ministership, or at that point of time, who was the Prime Minister of India? Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, right? So, in the very beginning, 13 such laws were included under the ninth schedule that cannot be challenged in the court. So, let's see what the answer is. The answer is, of course, A. Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. He was the Prime Minister when the first Amendment Act was introduced to the Constitution, and the ninth schedule was introduced. So, this was all, guys. I hope the class was helpful to you. I hope now you understand all the topics that we have covered through various questions in this class much better. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're studying well for your prelims examination, because day by day the examination is getting closer to you. And don't worry about anything. Just keep preparing. Stay with us. Keep studying. Take care. Bye-bye.